Good morning, dear students. Today in this video class, I am going to discuss with you Mansabdars and Jagirdars. Okay, so today this is the chapter 4, the Mughal Empire. Today this part I am going to discuss with you. In our last video, I have discussed with you the Aurangzeb and Aurangzeb's death and how he spent his life and how he tortured his father, brothers. Okay, so we have discussed about this. Now, this is the part is Mansabdars and the Jagirdars. The Mughal Empire during his expansion recruited diverse group of people. That means that time so many types of peoples they actually came over there. Okay, they were recruited over there also. They included Iranis, Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas and other groups. So from so many groups people they actually expand their recruitment. They during that period they stay over there. Those who joined Mughal service were enrolled as Mansabdar. So these people, this categories people who actually joined Mughal service, that means who given their service for the Mughals, they are actually known as the Mansabdars. It was a grading system used by the Mughals to secure. So these are the grading systems. So grades are the rank, salaries, military responsibilities. Okay, so secure their rank, secure their salary and secure their military responsibilities. Now, rank and salary were determined by numerical value called ZAT. So, what is ZAT? ZAT. So, rank and salary were determined by a numerical value. Numerical means we know that the number, okay, in number value. So, that is called ZAT. The higher the ZAT, the more prestigious was the noble's position. That means as per the salary it was the thought that the person is working in which position. Okay, so most respectful position or prestigious position was the noble's position. The court and the larger his salary. So whoever the posts of them, noble posts are the were the higher post, and for noble posts they got, those who are the nobles they got huge salary. Okay, huge zat. A Mansabdar's military responsibilities required him to maintain specific number of Sawar or cavalry men. So, Mansabdar's military responsibilities they actually required huge Sawar or cavalry men. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of cavalrymen? The cavalry actually meaning that soldiers who fought on horseback. Okay, so they were known as cavalrymen. So Mansabdars received their salaries. Who received their salaries? Mansabdars received their salaries as revenue assessment assignment called Jagirs. Now in Akbar's region were careful assessed so that their revenue were roughly equal to the salary of Mansabdar. So Akbar's regions, in Akbar's region, what was happened? Those were the Jagirs, their salary somehow equals with the salary of the Mansabdar salary. Okay, that means now who are working in the means Aurangzeb's period. Okay, so Jagir's salary and Mansabdar's salary were equal. By Aurangzeb's region, this was no longer the case, and the actual revenue collected was often less than granted sum. There was also huge increase in number of mansabdars, which meant a long wait to receive a jagir. These and other factors, it was created a shortage in the number of jagirs. As a result, what was happened? Tried, many jagirdars actually they have tried to exact as much revenue as possible. While they had a Jagir, Aurangzeb was unable to control these developments in the last year of his region, and peasantry therefore suffered huge losses. The next part is Zabt and Zamindars. Okay, Zabt and Zamindars. The main source of income for the Mughal rulers was tax. Okay, so it was the main sources of income. Maybe question will come that what was the main sources of income of the Mughal rulers? So you will write tax on the produce of peasantry. Most places peasants paid taxes through the ruler elites. That means the loyal chieftains. The Mughals used one term, zamindars, to describe all mediaries. Okay, so to describe all intermediaries, whether they were local headmen of villages of powerful chieftains. Now each provinces was divided into revenue circles. Provinces means areas, so each areas they once divided into revenue circles. This revenue system was known as Zabt. Okay, this was actually known as Zabt. It was prevalent in those areas where Mughal administrators could survey the land and keep accounts. The zamindars exercised a great deal of power. The exploitation by Mughal administrators and zamindars drove the peasants to rebellion. So they have actually faced so many types of exploitation, and for that they actually got anger and it becomes one rebellion, or you can say war. The peasants' revolts challenged the stability of Mughal Empire from the end of the 17th century. Now the next part is the Mughal Empire in the 17th century and after it. So this is our actually the last part of this chapter. The administrative and the military efficiency of the Mughal Empire led to great economic and commercial prosperity. International travelers described it as a fabled land of wealth. Okay, so those who actually the travelers came from any other part, suppose Europe, Asia, so actually they have told, or they described that India is the fabled land of wealth. So fabled means famous. What is the meaning of fable? This fabled mean is famous land of wealth. But they were also appealed at the state of poverty that existed side by side with the greatest opulence. Okay, so actually they have told that this is a famous land of wealth, but still actually they were appealed. So what is the meaning of appealed? Appealed means here given that greatly horrified. Okay, so they actually requested at the state of poverty that existed side by side with the greatest opulency. So what is the meaning of opulency? Opulency meaning is great wealth or luxuriousness. Okay, great wealth you can say, or huge wealth, that is the opulency. The inequalities were glaring. Now the Mughal emperors and their Mansabdars spent a great deal of their income on salaries and goods. This expenditure benefited the artisans and peasantry who supplied them with goods and produce, but the scale of revenue collection left very little for investment in the hands of the primary producers. The poorest amongst them lived from hand to mouth. The wealthier peasantry and artisans groups, the merchants and bankers profited the most in this economic war. So these categorized persons were actually the most profitable person. The enormous wealth and resources commanded by the Mughal elite made them an extremely powerful group of people in the last 17th century. As the authority of Mughal emperors slowly declined, so slowly actually Mughal emperor also declined, or you can say it was destroyed, for their servant emerged as powerful centers of powers. They constituted new dynasties and held command of provinces like Hyderabad and Awadh, although they continued to recognize Mughal emperor in Delhi as their master. Now lastly, what happened? The Mughal Empire lasted till 1857 CE. The successors of Aurangzeb were weak. That means those who were the next generation of the Aurangzeb or Aurangzeb's daughter, son, they were very weak and inefficient. That means they were not be capable ruler. Okay, so for that reason, taking advantage of this weakness, Nadir Shah and Ahmed Shah Abdali, they invaded the empire. So as Aurangzeb's successors or sons or whoever, they were very much weak and inefficient, that means not capable. So for that reason, Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali, they actually taken the advantages of that period and they invaded the emperor. They captured the emperor and they come to India. So now this chapter is completed. One timeline is there. This is very much important. Okay, period of Mughal Empire. This timeline is very much important. 1500, what was happened? 1600, what was happened? 1700, what was happened? 1800 and 1900, what was happened? So everything is given. So you will just read it out. And now this chapter completed. So thank you and goodbye.